Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Develop the Ultimate Golf Game. I'm your coach, Nathan Leonhardt, and today's gonna be a fun one. We're gonna get into some of the most common swing issues that players are having a tough time with: over the top slicing, early extension, sliding, and more. So grab a club and let's get into that right now. All right, so I want to talk about one main thing that often leads to a bunch of these issues: over the top, early extension, chicken wing, casting, is an open club face. So when a club face is too open and you're in the downswing, subconsciously you just know that this ball is going to be pushed way off, for me as a righty, out to the right. So to kind of fix that at the last second, we need to kind of use those hands to kind of take over, right? To try to square the club face up at the last second. We're gonna see a little bit of that chicken wing start to happen. We're gonna find that the body doesn't keep turning, the body kind of stops. If that face is open, we're more likely to be swinging across the ball like this to kind of counteract that, hitting those banana slices. So just wanted to start by saying, go back and make sure that club face is good, working through previous episode on how to get and keep a square face in the swing, okay? Because that tends to be one of the first and main things that leads to a lot of these swing faults. So now we're gonna get into early extension, sliding, kind of lacking some body rotation here next. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about early extension, sliding, lacking body rotation. Okay, these three often stem from one part of the body just not doing what it should, and that's the lead side. So if we think about early extension, where someone's kind of pushing the backside towards the ball, typically they get to the top, they use their trail side to really thrust. But that front side, right, their lead side, doesn't really do anything to counteract that, right? We want to be seeing that front side going back as the trail side's coming through. Okay, and so that leads to when we do early extend, well, then we're not turning very much, and a lot of times we're kind of sliding the hips, the pelvis towards the target. So we're going to have to work on a couple drills that I got set up here to get some better rotation in the downswing. First one, I have some rubber tubing. Okay, you can just buy any basic rubber tubing, rubber bands, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take a golf club. I'm going to put that behind my back and just kind of hook on the tubing onto the grip. I'll hold on to the grip, I'll hold on to the tubing. It's kind of positioned just at the top of my backside there, just under my belt. Getting into my golf posture, okay? I'm going to go up to the top, and now what I want to do is I need to start fighting through this resistance of this band here that's trying to pull my front side that way. I need to learn how to use that front foot, front leg to push through that. Stay balanced, okay? The only way I'm going to be able to do that, again, it comes from the ground off that front side, to learn how to push into this ground to get that front side to go back around, okay? Fighting through resistance. Now you're using some muscles. You're not just thinking, okay, I need to twist more, right? You're using the ground to use your muscles in your leg and your hip to kind of come around the corner. Okay, so you can get someone to either hold some tubing there or attach it to a door. Essentially, we're just going to start. So what I would do if you're setting up this at home is go to the top of your swing and find, okay, I need just a little bit of tension there. Okay, great. Now that'll be a good spot that when you start coming through, there's enough resistance that's trying to pull you over. And you might, in the beginning, you might actually fall forward, and that's okay. So that we learn to kind of utilize those muscles to get through here. Your trail side, eventually, front of your hip is gonna come through into the band just like this. Okay, so that's a great first drill to kind of start learning how to use some proper muscles. And then, another really good one here is just setting up any kind of object where it's just standing straight up and down. What we're going to do is we're going to put the golf club on the front side of our hips here, and I want the grip to be in line somewhere with that object, so that my thought here is I'm going to go do my backswing, and then I'm going to come and try to knock this thing over as hard as I can, okay? staying balanced, staying solid here. All right, that again, you're not fighting through the resistance of the resistance band, but now you're learning how do I use, again, same thing, that front foot, that front leg to really push that back there, really accelerate, feeling solid and feeling balanced. Those are some really good drills to start off to kind of help with early extension, sliding, and lacking of body rotation in the downswing. All right, so the dreaded over the top. Okay, so let's get into talking about some of the main things that first we should do in the backswing, but then some feelings in the downswing that we need to have to kind of get this club more on path. So what I want to see here is we got to understand that a lot of times I'll see players just kind of lifting their arms. All right, when we just lift those arms up, then obviously you can imagine from this position, it's hard not to come steep down on the ball and over the top unless we compensated and stood up like this. All right. We need to try to get these hands, arms, club to be moving around the body, trying to get those hands as far back as we can at the top of the swing. This is called hand depth, how deep our hands, how far our hands are back behind us. The more we get them back there, obviously you can imagine that it's easier to bring the club from the inside out. So that's going to be just trying to feel like we're going to get a bit more turn to the body. And sometimes even it's not just turn of the body, we just need to get the hands moving more around the body in the takeaway, in the backswing, as opposed to just lifting up. Okay. Then another big one is actually the way our legs and our knees move. All right. You're going to find that a lot of times I'll see players where their front knee really dives out towards the ball, like it's collapsing towards the ball, which then kind of collapses the upper body forward. So when that upper body is moving forwards like that, again, that's kind of where we're going to get that club just kind of lifting up as opposed to getting it far enough back around us. Okay, and then from there, we're just more inclined to swing steeply, more over the top. So I want to get that sensation that this front knee of mine is moving more on an angle towards the trail toes, okay? The knee's coming more back on an angle this way, not straight out to the ball, okay? Now, what I got here is a great tool. This plate here holds an alignment stick, okay? So this is essentially going to build me like a nice path that I want to come down on, a nice angle that I want to come down on in the downswing. Okay, so when we are at the top of the swing, a lot of times I'm going to see players, it's almost as if they think, whether they think it or not, have the feeling that the hands need to go and hit the ball. But it's not the hands that hit the ball, right? It's the club head. So what should be happening is the hands and arms should be kind of coming down the trail side of the body. If I don't add any body rotation yet, which we're going to get to in a sec. But the arm action here is more looking like this if I didn't have my body turning. Now, if I add my body turning into this, now we're starting to see a golf swing, right? So we got to understand that it's not the hands out like this, because once those hands from the top start out like this, now it's like now we're just trying to recover as best we can. And usually that's standing up to try to help us shallow it out, okay? So get these hands as far back as we can for where we're at with our body limitations. Arms are coming down towards the trail pocket. I like to think down towards the trail pocket, turning that body through. I'm just gonna hit a little soft one here. But we're gonna notice that it's a lot easier to get this club to come underneath this stick, right? Usually people just don't feel powerful with it initially, and that's why they keep going back to this. But it just takes a little time, a little progression of this is where we're looking for. Add that body turn into that. So that's a really, really important one for understanding the motions of the arms and the club there and starting it down so that we're not just swinging over the top every time. So another really good feeling that a lot of players relate to well to help them feel like they're swinging more inside out to stop coming over the top is they're feeling that they're keeping their back to the target as long as possible. Okay, so if I kind of put this along my shoulders here, as I'm starting down in the downswing, okay, typically someone who's coming over the top, we can imagine that those shoulders are opening up, the arms and hands are going with that, and we come over the top. But if I kind of try to keep my front shoulder back, like I'm pulling back towards that camera there, keeping that back to the target longer, that's going to allow those hands again to be coming under, like we're coming under that plane there, to have a better chance of swinging more inside out. So really getting the sensation as we're swinging down, keeping that back to the target, all right, as long as possible, holding that lead shoulder back. That's going to really make it a lot easier to get that club path moving more inside out. And then the final piece that I want to add to help someone who really is coming over the top a lot is the lower body action. Okay, so typically when someone is slicing, a lot of times we're going to see the upper body kind of spinning, the head even kind of moving towards the target a bit, and the hips staying back, right? And so when the hips stay back and we rotate the upper body, it's like it's hard not to swing over the top. But when we look at the opposite, when someone who slides too much with their hips, right, you're going to see that that club actually falls down quite a bit behind and is going to be swinging inside out too much. So we need a little bit of that, right? When we are sliding, we don't want to think about keeping these hips back and turning, right? We want to get this bump of the hips towards the target. That's going to allow that club to fall down this side easier, okay? So get that sensation, get to the top, feel like we're using the trail foot to bump the midsection of the body over. The head's not moving. I'm not looking at moving the whole body, just this midsection here as we're bringing these arms down, okay? So when we kind of put this all together for the over the topper, we're looking for making sure this upper body stays back, that it's not falling forwards. Hands are going around the body, trying to get those hands back. And then from there, we're trying to think, okay, midsection push, as I'm bringing my arms down towards my trail pocket here, right? When we do all that together, we're going to get this path kind of moving much more inside out than it was before, okay? Another thing that we can do if we're struggling with rotation to get our hands back further, we can just take that trail foot of ours and get a little bit of foot flare. Turn that out because that's opening up the hip a bit. Makes it easier to turn around that. Okay, we could even, as we flare that, pull that foot backwards a little bit, just a touch too, right? Not too much, but just a touch, okay? Helping us kind of get a deeper turn to get the hands further back, right? That's all these things together are gonna really make it a lot easier to swing more inside out. So the last common fault I want to discuss are the shanks. Okay, there's nothing more debilitating than when you're hitting the hosel of the club and you can't get the ball airborne and it's shooting straight off to the side. So here's a good few drills that we can be doing, trying to incorporate to get rid of that, right? Getting some new feelings to help correct it. So essentially what we got to understand from where we start at setup to where we are at impact is obviously the arms, the hands, further out away from the body. Okay, so we need to start learning how we keep these arms and hands closer to the body at impact. So again, as we're working on the over the top slice, just learning how to get those arms and hands moving more down this way is going to be beneficial. But from there, one of the first drills I like to do is start at the ball and learn how to and set up normally, right? Normal setup, don't be standing further away and reaching. Set up in your normal position. Go ahead and take a swing, but miss the ball on the inside, okay? So my club head sweeped and hit the mat right through here. That's just teaching me how to get my hands to come back down, get closer to my body, and at impact, not reaching out away. Start at the ball, miss the ball on the inside. Okay, so that's a good way to start, just training some feelings, but I'm not hitting a ball. So if we want to hit a ball, there's a couple things that we can do now. One, and this one's going to be scary for most, but it's ultimately what we're looking for, learning the opposite feeling of what we're currently doing. Starting with the ball on the heel, on the shank zone, right on that hosel, right? And just hitting some shots, trying to now make everything learn how to get it closer to the body here. Again, same normal setup, feeling everything getting closer. Right, that's a powerful drill because it's not easy. You're gonna find that it's gonna be a little scary. Okay, and then if I grab that ball again, if we're going to say we're working on something in the swing, say we're working on some technique stuff. A lot of times when players start learning a new feeling, they often kind of get a little they don't really know what their hands and the club should be doing at the ball. So what I like to do is start, when you're doing practice swings, start nice and close to the ball. Make the rehearsals, do whatever it is you're working on your swing, but not hitting that ball. Okay, so I still feel like our practice swing should have a purpose, right? And that we're not just kind of here making our swings and then going and, you know, hitting these, pushing our hands out, kind of shanking it, topping it type of thing. Let's go ahead and make some good motions of what we're working on. But that ball being so close to the club head there like that is just going to force us that I can't just make my club head go anywhere through here as I'm making my practice swings, right? It needs to be in a comfortable, good position away from my body at the ball there. So those are some really good starting points to kind of learn the opposite of reaching the arms and club out. All right, so I hope you can take something away from that to help you with any of your swing flaws. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time on Develop the Ultimate Golf Game.